In this day and age, capturing a near-perfect image has never been easier, thanks to the overwhelming choices of mirrorless cameras available to us. Even our phone cameras have evolved to produce stunning imagery at the touch of a button. With 4K resolution becoming the norm and higher resolution cameras coming out every month, it's hard to make your content stand out from everyone else's. Everything looks sharp, clinically sharp. Sometimes the image looks so pristine that it looks unreal, void of emotion. I want you to not only see my footage, but to feel it as well. I seem to keep finding myself in this never-ending hunt for something that will finally give my footage the look I've been hoping for. I've searched far and wide for vintage lenses, fancy filters, LUT packs, and always end up feeling a little bit underwhelmed with the results. No matter how fancy our cameras get, everyone always seems to want to try to make the footage look worse somehow. They want to make it more film-like, more organic. I heard about this film emulation plugin you could buy for Davinci Resolve called Dehancer from the Sony FX3 Facebook page, and I decided to try it out. I have to say, I'm quite impressed with the results. Hi, I'm Dennis Bazard. I'm a photographer and filmmaker for the US Army, and I really love my job, and I kind of started this channel to just teach things that I've learned along the way. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing. Okay, so today we're going to go over 2 different ways that you can use Dehancer to really just very easily give your footage a very filmic look. And there's so many different looks you can choose from. It can look a little overwhelming, but I'm telling you, on DaVinci, it's literally just 2 nodes. And if you want to get this on Premiere or Final Cut, it's also available for those things. So if you have one of those editing programs, you can still follow along, and it's pretty much plug and play. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Alright guys, so here we are in Davinci Resolve 18. Right now I have 2 clips loaded into my timeline. They are both shot on the Sony FX3. One is of me and my wife during our gender reveal. Then another is of my buddy Spencer checking his watch pretty much during golden hour. So these are 2 good examples of clips that could definitely use some film love. Alright, so your clips are on your timeline, and we're gonna go straight into the color tab. Alright, so this first method I'm going to show you is the easiest. I wanna show you that you can literally use Dehancer to do all of your color grading. Like, you don't need to. Obviously, you can make it as advanced or as simple as you want, but you can definitely use Dehancer. So whenever you download the plugin, it'll show up inside of your effects tab right here. So just type in Dehancer, or if you don't want to type it, it's all the way at the bottom. So just click and drag it right onto your node. And as you can see, since it's log, it basically just made it have film grain, messed with the colors a little bit, but that's okay. Since we're on this one node, you can actually choose your source. So I'm gonna choose my camera, Sony FX3, and then I know that I shot it at the low base ISO. And then boom, right there. There's a lot of stuff enabled by default. Really quick, we can actually go through all the stuff that Dehancer has available. So obviously your input, you can choose whatever camera manufacturer you have, or if you didn't shoot it in log or anything like that, you can just leave it at Rec 709 and it'll work the same exact way. Alright, so first is the film emulation. This is really cool. By default it's enabled, but this is where you have like 60 something odd different looks, and they're all really different, really cool, and they're all based scientifically on this actual film, which is really cool. Alright, so I think for this one, I actually like that a lot. Cine Still 800. So you can push or pull the effect. So pulling it makes it less strong, pushing it makes it more strong. So I actually kind of like the way that looks. Yeah, we'll probably pull it to about there. Film compression, what this does is basically flatten your image a little bit. Kind of like push everything into a similar space. Expand, this is where you can kind of mess with the exposure. There's really a lot of different ways you can do the same thing within this program. Right here is kind of like the global controls. You got exposure comp. You can really just mess with any of that, and you can reset things by clicking these wheels here. And you can keyframe them as well, which is a nice feature to have. All right, so expand and print. This is honestly probably my favorite one. So right when you put one of these prints, it simulates, like it gives it this instant punch, just beautiful instant punch. So I normally go between the Fujifilm 3513 and the Kodak 2383. Depending on the shot, I really like those ones. We'll probably go with the 3513 for this one. I like it a lot. You can bump up the color density, so this doesn't make the colors brighter, it makes them richer, which is really cool. Simulating film. Tonal contrast, this will kind of just it'll pretty much determine how much your image is going to punch. So with film, I don't know, I tend to like contrasted images, so I'd probably just push it a little bit. I think we can park it right about there. Color head, you can actually, if you enable it, you can move these all around, give it different tints, or you can gang them together, move all of them together. I actually kind of like when we move them all this way. Yeah, we'll leave it on, why not? Film grain, all right, so this is really important. You can make a lot of film grain, like a crazy amount. But what I like to do, I like to bump up film resolution all the way. That'll make the grain itself sharper. And the grain actually builds up your image as opposed to just being an overlay, which is something that's really cool with Dehancer. And as we all know, the only place grain actually exists in a real film image is the shadows. So we would take the midtones and highlights quite a bit down. Halation, this is actually really cool. When you enable it, you might not know what it's doing, but you can go into mask mode and it'll show you only the areas where it's affecting. Right now you can't see anything, but when you start to move up global and local diffusion, you start to see these weird outlines. And that's basically causing that red. So I'm gonna disable the mask so you can see, but basically before and after. It kind of makes everything like have that tinge to it, which I think is really neat. We're probably gonna take it down just a little bit, and then boom. I like the way that looks. And then bloom, this is an amazing feature. I love this one so much because look, right when you enable it, it just gives like this heavenly glow. It's like, it works wonders for skin tones, but you can see right now, like the areas it's affecting, it's actually probably really hard to see. But the second you amplify it and pull back save lights, so that's like super extreme, but you can see the areas where it would affect. So you can make it as little or as big as you want, and then you can also choose the impact, like how much you want it to go. So then that's obviously like way too much. We look like we're in heaven. So I'd probably just reset this and then bring impact down just a little bit. And I like that a lot. I think that looks great. Vignette, I mean, I don't really use this one, but depending on the shot, sometimes it does give it that extra punch because we are kind of center frame, I think it's not a bad move for this. Film breadth, what this does is it just kind of like in old films, like it'll actually make like random changes in the exposure and the color. It really emulates real film. I never mess with this or gate weave. Like this will kind of randomly zoom in and out like really old film. I think it's cool. Okay, output. You can actually change the strength of all of these things that you've applied. So you can go from 0 all the way to your filmic look. And I think I'm happy with this image. And this is just kind of like a really easy thing to show you just like how easy you can do it. I'm gonna reset this and just show you how quick we can do it. So here's our image before it's graded. I'm just gonna drag on Dehancer, choose my camera, boom, boom, boom. And then we chose the Cine Still 800T, I think, if we can find it. We pushed it a little bit. We went with the 3513 print. That's already looking great. We ganged these up and then we moved them a little bit this way. And then we just bumped up our film resolution, pushed the shadows, pulled the midtones and highlights a little bit. We turned on halation and we turned on bloom. And that is a beautiful looking image done in like just a couple seconds. So here's that image. All right, let's do the next clip. And in this one, I'll show you that you can really be as advanced or unadvanced as you want to. So with this clip, I'm going to hit Alt S or Option S if you're on Mac to create another node. Sorry, I don't have much space on this screen. I have to use this one to be able to show you guys on YouTube. Okay, so our first node, I'm gonna go ahead and label it, and this will be our LUT, or our color space transform. If you wanna do it the scientific way, you can actually just type in color space transform, and then basically choose your camera, choose your log, all that stuff, and do it like the actual scientific way through DaVinci. What I like to do is I actually like to use the phantom LUTs because they're made specifically for the Sony cameras. So right when you put on a phantom LUT onto S-Log, it immediately transforms it, and it's normally pretty spot on. Not completely scientific, but it's close enough. So I'm going to put Dehancer on this second node here, and I'm going to label it Dehancer, just so we know what these are. Okay, so the LUT, I think I will go with the Phantom Utopia. I like the way this one looks a lot. So I'm gonna drag it right onto there, and already this is just looking great. Now we'll go back into Dehancer, and I found that sometimes you don't need to use both the film emulation and the print. Sometimes you can use one or the other, depending on what you want. But I actually kind of like it without. And then with the print, I'd probably, so there's 3513, and boom, 2383 is the move for this one. I'd probably push that color density. I'd actually probably pull it down. It's a little contrasty for my taste, but it's about to get awesome. So we can just push it a little bit warmer. Just like that, getting that glow. And then on our film grain, do our thing. And push in the shadows, pull it out of the midtones and highlights. And then on halation, this is where it gets cool. Let's go into mask mode, see what's actually being halated. Pull up local and global. So see, it's just kind of around his hair pretty much, right around here. So I'm gonna turn off mask mode, and you can see it gives it that tinge, that really retro filmic look. So cool. And then bloom, that'll just enhance everything even a little more, kind of soften the skin, just make everything look great. And this image somehow looks soft and sharp at the same time, which is exactly what you want if you're trying to emulate shooting on film. And I like this a lot. But let's say you're like, damn, I like this, but it's a little bit too dark. So yeah, you could definitely change anything in Dehancer, or you could use this node, lift the shadows a little bit, push it a little warmer. You can really just do whatever you want, or you can make as many nodes as you want before this, but normally you want Dehancer to be at the tail end of that. So I'd say I'm pretty happy with this image, and we'll play it for you right now. Checking his watch. Alright guys, so as you can see, I'm on Dehancer's website right now, and you can buy all this stuff that I used, and it comes with everything for $3.99, and it's really a cool thing. I definitely think so, and you can buy these things individually as well. It's probably the best value to buy everything, but I'm not gonna lie, this is a lot of money. This is as much as Davinci Resolve itself, the studio version cost me. Obviously you can use Davinci for free, but if you want to export in 4K and things like that, you know, you gotta pay that money. I think $3.99 is a bit steep. I'd like to see this a little bit lower, or maybe a lot lower, but I can't deny that this is an amazing plugin, and I'm definitely going to be using it from here on out. Alright guys, thank you so much. I hope you learned something. Drop a like, comment if you think I'm a terrible colorist, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. This was my first tutorial, by the way, so let me know how I did. Alright, peace.